Good morning, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here and talk about what we really love, what we really are passionate about. And it's something that is going to be a short story because I was told to be short. However, I should put at the end of this title, Venezuela, it's not the veni, vidi, vici story for me. Okay, so I think it's kind of peculiar that today we have two researchers at the University of Łódź, at this very department, who are working at the Canaima National Park, one of the UNESCO Heritage National Park and one of the most endangered right now as a national park and all what is going on there. And I will tell you about it a little bit. And I will start bitter, but I promise to end very sweet, okay? My adventure, as Maciej already mentioned, started in 2009 with the tropical ecology course organized by Jagiellonian University. And this is the moment when all students and also researchers faced tropics for the first time. And it was so impressive for us. And this is, for me, the big hope that we will have a chance to organize this kind of activities here at the university, to take students from the department to go to tropics, to Colombia, where we are planning to open a research station. So pandemics really actually hold us for the moment, but it will change. Okay, so going back to Venezuela, it's the country that it's 3 times bigger than Poland, with the population 3 times smaller. So it's a big difference, and we can find there all kinds of neotropical ecosystem that you can imagine, from glacier to tropical reefs, and all this in one country with the different kinds of mountain ranges, with Andes, and of course these mountains, Tepuy Table Mountains that we can see here, and we will talk in detail. So there's no, I think for me it's impossible that biologists don't really fall in love in a country like this and want to start research in this kind of space. However, of course, it brings challenges that I will talk in continuation. So I started in 2009, and it was followed by amazing experience because we were organizing in 2011 and 2012 expeditions to one of the top of Tepuys that wasn't previously explored. So for biologists, it's like everything that you actually touch and see, it's new for you. And in that moment, I was focused on collecting butterflies for the museum, zoological museum at the University of Jagiellonian University, and were able to identify 2 new species. So, of course, that was an amazing adventure among these landscapes that are very challenging to explore, with the very high humidity, however, there's like water everywhere, but in terms of looking for water, you just need to wait for rain, because all the sources of water are pluvial, they are coming from the sky. So we had 3 times we intended to really reach the peak, and in 2012 it was possible to do. Previously, there was just the helicopter expeditions that land on the top of the Tepuys. There were 3 members of our expedition that reached the peak, climbing, opening new new road to get there. Marika Cimowicz, Mario Osorio, and Alberto Blanco. So this is how it started. And in some point, I really felt that I need to go back there. I need to go back there and I need to do more. So this is how in 2013, I decided to start my PhD in Venezuela. It was a very particular moment because it was political change. And at some point, I thought that this is the moment because the political situation is changing and it's going to get better. Well, I was wrong, really wrong. So unfortunately, Venezuela is one of the most biodiverse countries in the earth, is facing an intersection of economic, social, and environmental crises, which have led to the exodus of more than 6 million people since 2015. So it is the scale of migration that we can find right now for Ukraine. So it is really impressive because this is the country where there is no war. It's just the economic and social situation that forced people to leave the country. And during my stay there, I had a chance to really experience all these challenges of living in the dictatorship country. And I think it was the experience that changed me forever, but for good. So well, let's move to the southeastern part of Venezuela that you can mark here with this red rectangle, where we can find the Grand Sabana. I know it's running so fast. Where we can find Table Mountains Tepuy, one of the oldest formation of mountains mountain in the world from Precambrian era, where we can find endemic plants and species like here Helianthora, one of the oldest carnivorous species on the earth, and very rich cultural part, here particularly Pemon, indigenous group that are living there. Still, we're really not sure how long they've been living there. So when I started that, the question was, what is the effect of different disturbances on mammals community presence and abundance in Grand Sabana? Using camera traps, that was my main resources. And everything started really well. We had really good results with big sample efforts. We were able to register over 30 species of mammals, among them 7 carnivorous species and also endangered species like this giant armadillo. Of course, I couldn't really live here without showing you at least the picture of jaguar, one video, and also another one that is bush dog, even harder to register than jaguar. We have just few register of these species in Venezuela, and it was actually in Cabanayan region on the very close to one of the tepuys. So in that moment, we started thinking, okay, what is really going on? Because we can see the difference on the forest, like each fieldwork, there are some changes that have occurring. So in this moment, we started to thinking, let's calculate the drivers of deforestation in Venezuela, because it's something that never was calculated, never was analyzed. So I don't want to bore you with the analysis, of course, but we apply structural equation to evaluate the drivers of deforestation. And what is the most, as it's not really friendly one graph. So it's just what I want to tell you is, it's a thing you something changed in my just here, yeah, because it's running so fast. You ask me to be fast, so it's somehow it's getting this unexpected speed. So what we have found is that in 20 years, the most important factors of drivers of deforestation in Venezuela were cattle ranging, fires and distance to urban centers, road network, population density, and mining activities. So if someone already heard some speeches that I was giving, yeah, I'm always talking about mining, and I will do it again, because unfortunately, it's crucial, and it's much more related to what is going on in Europe right now that we can imagine. So here are some videos from one of the working study area that my friend is working in. We entered this mine without really knowing where are we, and that the mine was one of the minister. So it was kind of dangerous for the research that our friend was doing in this place. So in Venezuela was decided to start the mining project, huge one that you can have marked here with this red polygon that has 112,000 kilometers squares. That's the size of Belgium, Holland, and Denmark together. So imagine on this kind of like 1/3 of Poland, there's only what's going on is mining. And it is unfortunate that the government didn't really have any previous consultation. It's violating both social and environmental laws that are applying in Venezuela. So this is the territory where 14 indigenous different groups are living. We can find there over 7,000 vascular plants and over 2,000 vertebrates. So apart from this biological and environmental huge impact, we can see already the change among society that we can find there. Here are some pictures comparing one spot in the Grand Savannah where previously as a tourist you can find these souvenirs. That's like the stick with the seeds inside, that it's really nice as an instrument, and this is the typical kind of instrument that I'm having. Then it's a shotgun. So imagine that in 10 years, what was the change of priorities? Like no more instruments. What we want, what we need, it's shotgun. What really happened in the head of these people? And in 2022, last year, well, there's already nothing. So it was for me really impacting because I also see it in communities where I was working, how people have changed. So fortunately, finally, last week we were able to publish the letter in Science talking about Venezuela harmful mining activities grow, and it really was like 5 years process to convince them to publish that, because it's really uncomfortable to talk about it, because it's not only about what the government is doing and the decision that is taking, but what is really how is the demand for resources growing? Because in this part of Venezuela we can find gold, diamonds, coltan, these very particular rare materials that are so necessary for our technological change and transmission that we are living in Europe, right? Because this is what we right now have the goals of become CO free in our continent. So unfortunately, it has some consequence in other parts of the world. So at least 30 times of as much of lithium, nickel, and other key minerals may be required by the electric car industry by 2040 to meet global climate targets, according to International Energy Agency. So here you can see that in terms of electric car, in comparison with a conventional car, there is a big difference in what kind of metals we really need to construct them, especially the batteries. So it needs to come from somewhere, and it doesn't come from Europe. So I want, with this speech, I also want to inspire you to ask uncomfortable questions. because we really want this transfer, but it comes from somewhere, and it's not Rzeszów. Okay, so, well, but we keep working, and we keep facing different challenges, like here, that I wasn't able to really complete what I was planning to complete in my research, from the original objective to there was the complete design. We have complete first here the complete data set with everything, with the camera traps, with tracks, and direct observation. We have, I think it's getting like faster every time. I cannot speak that fast because you're not going to understand anything. I don't know really what happened. Okay, yeah, it's just like going back and forth. Okay, so it was like everything was planned to get another study area. In this moment, start the monitoring. But unfortunately, that was the moment when the conflict started, and really, when the researcher faced the situation, okay, I'm going to the field again. I don't know if I really get there. I don't know if I'll be back. So I need to make a decision. And this is why we wrote, where it's actually in review right now, this publication, to give like some ideas. What can you do if your study area, talking especially about tropical areas, some conflict started? Your life is in risk. It's not about that you have the funds smaller or something like financially happened. That also can be a case. But it's really the decision if I'm going to stay there because it's life risking. So what can you do in this kind of situation? Of course, applying monitoring, so using camera traps, using tracks, using observation and interviews with the communities. So we have calculated that what we already have gathered, we couldn't fulfill our general objective, but we have alternative objectives that we are able to fulfill, and it actually it's building a really interesting story about the disturbances in this area. Just to show you the two results that are really particularly interesting are that which species are actually attracted to deforested areas, which is not so obvious. So just to give you the contrast, one of the species that it's particularly attracted by deforested areas, it's puma. It's kind of surprising because it's one of the phyla that we would think, okay, it really needs forest, like jaguar. But when we have those two big cats, puma and jaguar, puma is the smaller one and needs to look for their niche to look for the resources. So if the jaguar it's preferring the forest area, puma needs to be more flexible, looking for resources in other area. And with this graph, we also showed for the researchers that are facing the same problem, having like only one location, two locations, and using just one methodology or using two methodology. If you need to make a decision what to do, it's much better to use more different observation from different sources in one location than risk and go to two of them, because those calculation for all parameters that we were measuring were kind of similar. Another interesting finding here was the effect of fire, that we found two species that we found really depending on forest, like tapir and cappuccino monkey, that are attracted by recently burned areas. Like, wow, it's surprising, right? That the monkey actually can appear or is attracted to the place where that was recently burned. What is going on? Well, we assume that there's new resources that have emerged after the burn, so it can be something new for them to look for. The same for tapir, and there are already some other research in Brazil that have confirmed that. Okay. So, but it's not only the ecological part that I'm really interested in. I'm very interested in what is going on in community, working with schools there, and also collecting the knowledge that it's about to be lost, like names of the species in the Grand Savannah, in Arecuna language, and in other languages, because those kids that we can see here, they already don't know these names. They don't have any interest, because the older universe is focused on how to get some income, how to get the income, and this income is coming from mining. This is what they have at home. This is what they hear in their closest environment. So unfortunately, they cannot really focus on education. There is no place for this. So it's what we are trying to change. Last year, we were able to have the presence of great team, filming team from France that was taking a documentary with Philip and with me about our research in the same part of the world. This is what I said. It's so strange that at one university we have those two working in this particular beautiful part of the world. But it was something also kind of sad for me that happened during this last trip, because I went to the community that I was working in during my PhD, and it was abandoned. There's no one there. Everyone just escaped. They went to Guyana or they went to Brazil. They have no way to live there. They have no services. So they decided to leave. And in 2015, it was the community full of life, with a lot of children, and it's empty. So it's that moment I really realized that when I was doing my PhD, I was so afraid about the perturbances that we were measuring. That was the fire, that was the deforestation, hunting, but actually, that's not the problem. What is really the increasing and huge problem there is mining. Okay, but, well, as a researcher, you need to look bright side, and I decided to change a bit the part of the Venezuela that I'm working in, and decided to create this Red de Áreas Conservadas de Venezuela, which is the initiative that invite people with the big part of land that are interested in conservation of their land, of course, maintaining their production, because the conservation cannot pay itself just because we want it. So there's no legal figure of protection like private protected areas in Venezuela. So this is one of our biggest goal, to really write the proposal. It's in the way we have the help of lawyers to have this kind of proposal to be introduced in the government. And what people have found the most difficult to create protected areas, of course, lack of legislation, the first one, and lack of the financing as another one. So down here we have the map of the north of Venezuela, Cordillera Costa, which has the legal form of protection, national parks, and these red spots are the private protected areas. Somehow they're like the milestones between big protected areas. They're crucial for the animals' connectivity. So what we are doing there, the very first thing was the rapid assessment program with the multidisciplinary team that is working in their areas to raise the information about the biodiversity. So what we do, research, education, and community, we do conservation here. So that's a very first what we have found in terms of number of plant species, bird species, mammals, reptiles, and amphibians in each of this area that has a different forest cover, different area, and different kind of protection. It's cacao, coffee, and also vegetables. So it has the different level of fragmentation and different level of human impact. But this is not only basic research that we are doing there, but also we are applying the molecular part with Dr. Katarzyna Janik-Superson that's helping me with the research. We are really curious to find out what kind of diet tapir, endangered species, has, and we really don't know that because there's no work about it, because it's so difficult to find assets of this species. You need to really walk for the forest for hours to find something. And we were lucky enough, because we walked so much, well, like I was happy to finding the assets, like it's a big deal. And we are about to start the analysis. And as I promised, I will finish, and I'm really finishing. Sweet, oh God, it got really unexpectedly pink. Too pink. So, but it's the Chocolate with Mission, something, the initiative that we started in last year to connect three not so related issue, which is the women's empowerment, chocolate, that is connecting, that is giving the solution for conservation. It means, in the moment when we have the really well-planned cacao plantation, we have the protection of species in this moment, lowland tapir, that is the umbrella species, and we are giving the opportunities for people to work. So this is what we have started. The crowdfunding is not going as well as I expected, but it will change soon, I think, because there are a lot of materials in media that are coming in the next week. And just recently, 2 days ago, there is a new documental, unfortunately still in Spanish, that is talking about the same project. So, okay, future, well, we have this passion that brought us to this part of the world, and we are not living, even the challenges are so overwhelming in some points, because I very identify my work with this saying that find your place on the planet, dig in, and take responsibility from there, something that I have found in American Museum of Natural History in New York. So this is what I would like to finish this presentation, and you have any questions, I will be happy to answer.